She compared it to morphine. Yes, morphine. Not sugar, not processed meat, not soda. Bread. According to Turkish longevity expert Dr. Canan Karatay, the food millions of people eat with every single meal is triggering the same brain receptors as an opioid. You're addicted like a morphine user, she warned. That's not an exaggeration. In fact, the problem is far worse if you're over 60, because your body no longer has the metabolic flexibility to defend itself. Your pancreas is more sluggish. Your cells resist insulin more aggressively. And the inflammation this staple food creates spreads like wildfire. Silently. You don't feel it. You don't see it. But every slice you eat could be slowly stiffening your arteries, clouding your memory, weakening your bones, and disrupting your entire gut-brain axis. Dr. Karatay has been criticized heavily for saying it, but the science is catching up. This isn't about demonizing food. It's about showing seniors what's really happening inside their bodies, beyond the taste, tradition, and habit. If you're in your 60s or beyond and feel tired, bloated, forgetful, or constantly dependent on your next carb hit, this might be why. And what you'll hear in the next 9 minutes may change the way you eat for the rest of your life. For decades, we were told that bread is the foundation of a healthy diet. Doctors, commercials, even school posters showed a smiling grandma kneading dough, baking wholesome loaves full of love. But what they never showed you was how your body, especially after age 60, reacts to that same loaf like it's under attack. You see, the moment that soft, warm slice hits your tongue, enzymes in your saliva break it down into glucose almost instantly. Your blood sugar spikes within minutes, insulin floods your system, and a dangerous hormonal roller coaster begins, one that your aging body can no longer ride safely. But that's just the start. Because if you think the issue ends at blood sugar, you're only scratching the surface. The gluten found in most breads, yes, even the organic, multigrain, whole wheat kinds, contains a protein called gliadin, which has been linked to increased intestinal permeability, also known as leaky gut, in older adults whose gut lining is already more vulnerable due to age-related thinning of the mucosal barrier. This leads to chronic low-grade inflammation. That inflammation doesn't just stay in the gut. It travels through your blood vessels, into your joints, your brain, even your heart. In fact, several clinical studies have shown a direct correlation between high bread consumption and elevated markers of systemic inflammation like C-reactive protein, CRP. Why does this matter? Because inflammation is the root cause of nearly every age-related disease: atherosclerosis, Alzheimer's, osteoarthritis, type 2 diabetes, and even certain cancers. So when Dr. Karatay said, "This food acts like morphine and destroys your body from the inside out," she wasn't being dramatic. She was being early. And here's the worst part. Most seniors don't even realize the connection. They chalk up their joint stiffness to getting older, their brain fog to a busy day, their digestive issues to bad luck or stress. But behind it all may be the seemingly harmless slice of toast they've had every morning for 40 years. By the time you're done watching this video, you'll understand why so many doctors are quietly dropping bread from their diets. You'll see the data, the autopsies, the MRI scans, and the patient testimonials, and you'll begin to realize something chilling. The foods that feel the most comforting are often the ones doing the most damage, especially when no one warned you. Until now. By now, you're probably staring at your kitchen pantry with suspicion. You might even be replaying decades of your life. Family breakfasts, comforting dinners, rushed lunches, wondering how something so ordinary could be so dangerous. And that's exactly the problem. The most harmful foods don't come with a skull and crossbones. They come disguised as tradition. They hide behind culture, comfort, and childhood nostalgia. There's one food in particular, so deeply rooted in Turkish homes, so normalized in hospital meal plans, school cafeterias, retirement centers, that questioning it almost feels offensive. It's what you're offered when you're grieving, what you dip into soup when you're sick, what you toast and butter when you want to feel safe. But under a microscope, it's a very different story. We're talking about a food that sends your glucose levels soaring faster than table sugar. One that's chemically engineered to stimulate your appetite, not satisfy it. One that lights up your brain's pleasure centers like a narcotic, encouraging overeating while dulling your body's natural satiety signals. It's often the first thing you chew in the morning, and the last thing your heart wishes you didn't. And here's the catch. It's not only in the obvious places. Even if you've sworn off white versions, its whole-grain cousins often do the same damage in disguise. Brown doesn't mean better, Dr. Karatay warns. It just means branded differently. So before we name this staple in the next section, I want you to ask yourself this. Is it possible that what you've always trusted, what you've eaten for decades without question, has been quietly sabotaging your health from within? And if that's true, what else have we been wrong about? It doesn't just sit in your stomach. This so-called harmless staple goes to war with your body the moment you swallow it. It rapidly breaks down into glucose, faster in fact than many sweets and desserts. Your blood sugar spikes like a roller coaster, triggering an urgent response from your pancreas. Release insulin. And then, the real damage begins. Chronically elevated insulin doesn't just mess with your energy levels. It accelerates aging, disrupts your metabolism, and inflames your arterial walls. Yes, even if your cholesterol is normal. Over time, these repeated insulin surges make your cells resistant. Your body begins to ignore its own signals. That's not just a diabetes risk, that's a full-body breakdown. And what about your heart? Every time your insulin surges, your sympathetic nervous system activates. Your blood vessels constrict, your blood pressure rises, your heart rate accelerates. Do that a few times a year and your body recovers. Do it 3 times a day, every day for decades. That's when the damage accumulates like rust under the hood. Dr. Karatay didn't mince words. This food accelerates aging, weakens your bones, triggers brain fog, and inflames your liver. But they still serve it with pride in hospitals. It's medical hypocrisy. And here's the cruel irony. The more you eat it, the more you crave it. Not because you're weak, because it hijacks your dopamine system, turning hunger into addiction. You're not overeating, you're being chemically manipulated by a food that still gets labeled as healthy. We still haven't named it, but if you've been paying attention, your body might already be guessing. It's not candy. It's not soda. It's not even dessert. It's bread. Yes, your everyday, warm, comforting slice of bread. The one that starts your morning, fills your sandwiches, and soaks up your dinner. But according to Dr. Karatay, modern bread is not real food. It's a biochemical attack on your body. She's not talking about the ancient loaves our grandparents made with fermented grains and natural yeast. She means the ultra-processed, refined white bread found in nearly every home and restaurant. It's stripped of fiber, pumped with preservatives, and engineered to dissolve instantly in your mouth, just like sugar. And what happens next? Blood sugar spikes. Insulin surges. Inflammation flares. Your liver stores the excess as fat, especially around your belly. Meanwhile, your arteries begin to stiffen. Your skin begins to dull. Your joints start to ache. But the worst part? Most people feel nothing at first. It's silent, cumulative damage. And by the time symptoms show up, it's often too late. Dr. Karatay compares it to an invisible fire. You don't see the flames, but the house is burning from the inside. And still, many hospitals, schools, and even nutritionists recommend it as a healthy carb. But what's so healthy about a food that ages your organs, weakens your bones, and hijacks your brain? Bread isn't just bread anymore. It's been re-engineered to fit industrial convenience, not human health. And if you're over 60, your body is less equipped to handle its rapid-fire impact. The good news? The damage can be slowed, even reversed, but only if we stop pretending bread is harmless. You don't notice it at first, not in your 30s, maybe not even in your 40s. But inside, every slice of modern bread is leaving a mark, micro by micro, bite by bite. Let's start with your skin. That dullness you've started to see in the mirror, the deepening smile lines, that sag under the jawline. A large part of it comes from glycation, a process triggered by high blood sugar, where sugar molecules latch onto collagen and elastin, the proteins that keep your skin firm. Once they bond, the fibers stiffen, break, and lose their bounce. No serum can fix what sugar has silently dismantled. Move deeper, your arteries. White bread causes rapid glucose spikes, and in response, your insulin floods in. Over time, this repeated cycle damages the inner lining of your arteries, making them rigid. Blood flow slows, blood pressure rises. Your heart works harder just to keep pace with a body that's aging faster than it should. And let's talk about your brain. Yes, your brain. Refined carbs have been linked in studies to cognitive decline and increased risk of dementia. That forgetfulness you chalked up to just getting older? It might be inflammation in disguise. The sad irony? We often eat bread in comfort, after a stressful day, with family, to reward ourselves. But all the while, it's aging us from the inside out, our organs, our hormones, our very cells, faster than they were ever meant to decline. According to Dr. Karatay, real aging begins when the body starts losing its ability to repair. And the one food sabotaging that repair cycle every single day is often right on our plate. So next time you reach for a slice, ask yourself, is it really worth it? Once you cross 60, your body plays by a different set of rules. The systems that once repaired damage overnight now take longer, sometimes days, sometimes never. Your hormones shift, your muscle mass naturally declines, your metabolism slows. But that one innocent food, it keeps hitting just as hard, if not harder. Let's break it down. After 60, the pancreas doesn't respond to blood sugar spikes with the same efficiency. The insulin it releases struggles to do its job, leading to longer periods of elevated glucose. And that means more glycation, more cellular damage, more aging, accelerated. And then there's the gut. Aging often brings a decline in stomach acid and digestive enzymes. Your ability to process and absorb nutrients, especially B vitamins, magnesium, and antioxidants, drops. And what does white bread do? It floods your gut with simple carbs, but gives back almost nothing. No fiber, no micronutrients, just sugar, and the silent inflammation that comes with it. Worse, the older you get, the more vulnerable your immune system becomes. The inflammation sparked by processed carbs doesn't just stay in your gut or skin. It fans out through your bloodstream, compromising your ability to fight real threats. Dr. Karatay once said, "The body doesn't get old because of time. It gets old because of what we put into it. And after 60, your margin for error shrinks. Every choice matters more. Every meal is either feeding life or feeding decline." So when someone says, "It's just bread," ask them this. What's the price of one more year of energy? One more year of clarity? One more year of truly feeling alive? They say addiction wears many faces: alcohol, nicotine, caffeine. But rarely does anyone mention the soft, warm slice on their breakfast plate. And yet, neurologically speaking, that slice is just as sneaky. When you consume refined carbs like white bread, your blood sugar spikes fast. Within minutes, your brain gets a dopamine hit. Yes, the same pleasure chemical released during gambling, social media scrolling, and even narcotic use. The body loves it. The brain gets used to it. And before you know it, it's not you craving bread. It's your neural circuitry demanding the fix. But what goes up must come down. That sugar high, it crashes, leaving you irritable, tired, foggy. And what's the quickest way to feel better again? Another slice, another bagel, another baked good. And so the loop begins. A biochemical trap disguised as tradition. Here's what makes it worse after 60. The brain's dopamine receptors are less sensitive, which means you need more to feel the same reward. More bread, more sugar, more inflammation. It becomes a vicious cycle. Comfort turning into silent corrosion. Dr. Karatay wasn't being poetic when she warned, "They've turned food into a drug." She meant it. Because what you think is hunger is sometimes just withdrawal. And unless you interrupt the pattern, consciously, fiercely, it will shape not just your diet, but your energy, your mood, even your memory. So next time your hand reaches for that slice, pause. Ask yourself, who's really in control? Your brain or the baker? Breaking the cycle doesn't start with willpower. It starts with replacement, strategic, nourishing, brain-supportive replacement. Because if you simply remove bread or baked goods from your diet without introducing something stabilizing in return, your body rebels, your mood dips, your cravings roar, and before you know it, the cycle restarts. So what do you reach for instead? First, healthy fats. Avocados, walnuts, extra virgin olive oil. They don't spike your insulin, and they keep you full for hours. Your brain, which is 60% fat by weight, thrives on these. Second, fiber-rich vegetables, spinach, broccoli, zucchini. They stabilize blood sugar and support your gut, your second brain. Third, high-protein options, boiled eggs, plain yogurt, cottage cheese. These give your body steady energy, without the spike crash effect. Dr. Karatay always emphasized this. Don't focus on what you remove. Focus on what you nourish yourself with. And she's right. It's not about becoming someone who doesn't eat bread. It's about becoming someone who chooses clarity over cloudiness, vitality over temporary comfort. Even a small change like swapping your breakfast simmet with a boiled egg, a handful of nuts, and a cup of green tea can reshape your biochemistry in weeks. Your skin brightens, your brain sharpens, your hunger signals normalize. The key? Consistency, not perfection. And the moment you realize you're not depriving yourself, you're upgrading yourself. You've already won. You don't need a new life. You need a new lens. Because once you realize how something as ordinary as bread can cloud your energy, inflame your gut, destabilize your mood, and accelerate your aging, it stops being just bread. It becomes a choice between short-term comfort and long-term clarity. Turkish longevity experts like Dr. Karatay don't make headlines by playing it safe. They do it by saying the hard things. Bread is poison, she warned, not to scare, but to awaken, to shake us out of autopilot and remind us, your health doesn't decline overnight. It's chipped away, meal by meal. But the same rule applies to healing. Each small decision, each swap, each mindful meal is an act of recovery, of rebellion against normalization of brain fog, fatigue, and disease. Imagine a life where you don't crash after lunch, where you wake up clear, where you age with strength, not surrender. It's not a fantasy. It's just food, the right food. So let's start simple. Let's get honest. How much bread do you really eat in a week? Be real with yourself and drop the number in the comments. And if this video made you think twice about your daily habits, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this isn't about restriction. It's about liberation. More truth-packed videos are on the way, and your future self will thank you for staying.